The Greatest Secret, the parable of the mine's field, inspired by Earl Nightingale, and the wisdom of Scripture. There once was a man who went out to look upon his land. He had a small field behind his cottage, nothing grand, but the soil was good and the rain was kind. One spring, he decided to plant corn. He worked the ground with care, dropped each seed into its furrow, and prayed for God's blessing. Beside him, his neighbor grew nothing that year. He said he was waiting to see what happens, and something did happen. Thistles and nettles and briars sprang up tall and wild. When harvest came, the man's field bent heavy with golden corn. The neighbor's lot stood tangled and bare. And the man said to himself, "Now I see, the earth will return whatever is planted in it. It does not care whether it is corn or thistle. It simply grows the seed it is given." That night as he lay in bed, another thought came. So is my mind. It too is a field. Whatever I plant, faith or fear, peace or worry, it will bring forth after its kind. The secret discovered. In time, the man began to see that this was a secret of life. He saw it in his work, in his family, in the words of his children. When he rose each morning with gratitude and purpose, the day unfolded with light. When he rose, murmuring about troubles and fears, the day grew heavy and dark. He remembered what the Scripture said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Proverbs 23:7. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. And he began to guard his thoughts as carefully as he guarded his seed. The farmer's lesson. One day, a younger man came to him, discouraged and broke. "I've tried everything," said the young man. "I work hard, but nothing ever seems to go right." The older man smiled kindly. "Then perhaps," he said, "it is not your hands that are weary, but your thoughts that are barren." He led him out to the field and pointed to a patch of thistles near the fence. "You see that?" he asked. "Those weeds are strong because they have been left alone. I didn't plant them, they grew by neglect, and so it is with worry and doubt. If you do not uproot them, they will soon own the whole field." He stooped down, took a kernel of corn from his pocket, and pressed it into the younger man's hand. "Now this," he said, "is a thought of faith. Plant it and keep your eyes on what you want, not on what you fear. Water it daily with gratitude, and you will see what God can do." The young man left with a seed and a new understanding that he was already farming every day, only not the soil, but his mind. The secret in the city. A woman who worked in the city heard this story and tried it for herself. Each morning before rushing to her job, she took 5 quiet minutes to write one thought of praise and one act of kindness she would do that day. In time, her co-workers noticed something different. "Why are you always so calm?" they asked. She smiled and said, "Because I tend my garden before sunrise. Her life began to change, not because her circumstances were easy, but because her thoughts were orderly and filled with light. The law of the harvest. Years passed, and the old man grew gray, yet his eyes shone brighter than ever. People came from miles around to ask for his secret. He would smile and say, "The mind is a field. Whatever you plant will grow. If you plant thorns, do not expect figs. If you plant faith, do not be surprised by blessing." He taught that God gave mankind the power of thought, a holy stewardship. The world around us is shaped by what we allow to live inside us. The tongue speaks what the heart believes, and the hands carry out what the mind has decided. A lesson from the carpenter. One day, a carpenter who had grown weary of his work came to the man. "I build houses for others," he said, "but none for myself. I'm tired of it all." The old man listened and said, "Then build one more house, as if it were for the king himself. Give it your finest work. Spare nothing." So the carpenter did. He cut every beam straight, polished every rail, and fitted every joint with care. When he was done, the house shone like a jewel. The old man placed a key in his hand and said, "It's yours." The carpenter stood silent, tears in his eyes, for he realized that all along he had been building for himself. And so it is with thoughts. Every thought we lay is a board in the house of our life. The final reflection. In his later years, the man would often say, "We become what we think about. That is the greatest secret." But he also added a greater truth. The Lord gives the increase. We sow, but he brings life. For he had learned that thought without faith is like a seed without water. We do our part, guarding our minds, planting our purposes, but it is God who gives fruit to our labor and peace to our souls. Moral and meditation. Each of us walks daily through the field of our own mind. What are we planting, fear or faith, complaint or thanksgiving, worry or worship? Let us plant good seed, for in due season we shall reap if we do not faint. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. And this is the greatest secret, that by changing our thoughts, we open the gates of our hearts for God to change our lives